So if you clicked on this video, you're probably thinking about quitting sales for good. Now, I don't want you guys to feel bad about that. That's a very common thought, like people have, like every day. Whether you're starting out or you've been here for a few months or you've been doing this for many years, even decades. Now, I myself personally have been in that situation many times, like even years down the line, actually. And I used to think about that on a monthly basis, sometimes weekly on those tough weeks. And when I say quitting sales, I don't mean you going from job to job. I meant like you leaving that job, like that sales profession for good to go do something completely different. So in this video, we're going to talk about three main topics. So the first topic is, why do people quit sales? What is that underlying reasons why? And the main reason why really is that people aren't good at it and they can't figure out why. Second part, we're going to talk about why aren't they good at it? What is that reason? Like, what is it? Confidence issue? Is it a script issue? Is it a process issue? And we'll talk about that main dominant reason why people seem to get stuck and they can't get past to the level where they want to get at. Last, we'll actually talk about, well, once we identify what's wrong, how we can actually fix that, and we can actually give you a very practical step-by-step guide for you to actually fix your sales game so that you won't quit and you'll actually be good. So a little introduction about myself. My name is Eric Lee. I am a sales coach, trainer, and a leader. I've been in sales for about nearly a decade now at this point. And I've personally helped hundreds of sales agents, whether they're new to intermediate to experienced, to help find that struggle, that gap that's been holding them back to reach the goal that they've always wanted to be. And I think that goal for most of us to have that fruitful long-term sales career that they enjoy and have great earnings. So let's talk about the first point, guys. Well, why do you want to quit sales for good? Well, like I said, I don't mean when you quit sales, you're going to a different job or different industry. That's a very common thing to do. But we're talking about those who are wanting to just completely switch their profession, like not do sales anymore and go do something different, like, I don't know, acting or being an author. Now, there are many reasons why people want to quit sales. There's a lot of personal reasons why. That could be that you may not like the industry, or you may not like the product and service, you may not like your boss. There's lots of reasons. But the underlying reason, the deepest level of that is, and it's the cold truth, is you're not good at sales. You didn't find the success you want. You may be doing this for a few months now to many years, and it's driving you nuts. And what drives you even more nuts is you can't figure out why. Now, you probably watch a lot of YouTube videos. You probably even bought a course. You've heard from your sales manager and trainer and your peers. You tried all these tips and tricks, and it kind of worked, right? But it never gave you that sustaining success that you've always wanted. Like, it worked for a bit, for a few months, then you kind of just dip down. You guys might have a good month or two, but you just go straight down to where you were before. Or it's very roller coaster. It goes up and down. Maybe you've actually just absolutely plateaued. And the truth is, if you were good at sales, you wouldn't want to quit. This is why I said, like, that is probably the main reason why people quit sales, because they're not good. And I'll tell you the thing right now, it's not your script and your process that's holding you back for most of the time. Like, especially if you've been in sales for many years, it's not your script and process. There's something fundamentally wrong in your presence when you speak with your prospect and your clients, whether that's booking a meeting, whether that's, you're trying to close a deal, you're booking a demo. The truth is, people don't want to work with you. People don't want to buy from you. And the reason why I say it's not your process and your script is because of this. I'll use a music, for example. If you're, a singer, it doesn't matter how great the music you give me. It doesn't matter how great the lyrics is. If you give that to a bad singer, they're going to butcher that. Like, you give that to me, I'll butcher that. It doesn't matter how much time and effort you put into writing that music or the song. I don't know how to sing. Just like a script and process. If you are not the right salesperson and you give that script and process to that person, they're going to sound terrible. And this is why a lot of people stay stuck, because they think the fundamental reason is their script and process, but it's not. Yeah, so now the second part of the video is, so let's talk about the second topic of the video, right? Well, why do most people... So let's talk about the second topic. Why aren't people good at sales? What is that fundamental reason, like that I mentioned previously? So the second topic, let's talk about, well, why aren't people good at sales? Well, there are usually two main main dominant reasons why people are not good at sales is usually due to because of lack of certainty and lack of engagement. So we'll move on to the second topic here. Well, let's talk about why most people aren't good at sales. And there are three main dominant reasons why people aren't good at sales. It's due to because of lack of certainty, it's lack of engagement. That's the second part. And third is the lack of simplicity. Now, for this video, we're going to talk about lack of certainty. In the next videos, we'll have a dedicated video for the engagement portion and another video for the lack of simplicity, because there's a lot to unpack here. And I don't want to put all them all together to make it overwhelming for you guys. So let's talk about the first point. Well, what is certainty? Well, certainty is the natural confidence that you lose when you're talking with your prospect and your client. That's that belief you have that you know it all. You know what your product's about. You know what to say. You're not hesitant. Everything flows smoothly. So why is certainty so important? Well, certainty is important because your confidence is the direct way of marketing your product and service when you talk to your prospect and your client. Simply put, if you're certain, you have good marketing. You have good marketing, people like your product and service. Vice versa, you don't have certainty. No certainty equals bad marketing. Bad marketing equals, well, people don't like your product and service. Because it's very simple. If you are confident, people are going to find confidence in your product and service. Now, this doesn't mean that people are going to buy your product right away, because I walk down the street and I find a lot of products out there that that I find confidence in. Let's use Porsche for example. I think that's an excellent car brand. Doesn't mean I'm going to start buying them right now, but if I decide to buy that, well, that confidence I have in that brand is the minimum requirement for me to buy that. That's it. Confidence is the minimum requirement you need in sales in order for someone to buy your product and service. And to be honest, a lot of people don't even have that minimum requirement. This is why you guys are stuck in sales. This is why you guys want to quit. This is why people don't want to buy from you, but they want to buy from someone else, like your top guy in your company. Now, how can you build confidence? That's the $1,000,000 questions. What I've seen out there on the internet, a lot of those tips I see, fake it till you make it, or this overly aggressive like motivation. Now, these are great, but they're not sustainable. And it may work for certain people, but for a lot of people, they either don't like it or it just doesn't stick. Now, I'm not trashing those, method where you overhype yourself and you chase the money, rah, 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 rah. And those are all great if it works for you, right? But what I find fault in that method is that, first, again, it's not sustainable in the long run. You will get depleted. You're going to feel very fake. And it's also not true to yourself. And two, you're just going to sound very overly aggressive when you talk to the client. And that can be a massive negative. And you can lose a lot of sales that way. So the best way to build certainty is to build a natural confidence. Something that lasts forever, something that you don't have to focus on that much, something that's just natural, is automatic, something that you don't have to hype yourself over, something that doesn't fade away over time, but it's just there and you don't have to. Again, most important thing is you don't have to think about it. It's just when you speak, it's there. It's in you. It becomes a part of you. And I think that's what we all want, is that natural confidence that when we just talk, people are like, well, this guy I trust. Well, this guy, when he talks about the product, he doesn't sound fake while he's doing it. And I don't sound fake and I don't feel depleted. Now, to build this natural certainty, this type of confidence, you need 3 belief systems. You need 3 belief systems. The first belief system is this belief in the product and service. The second belief is the belief in your process, your sales process. And third is a belief in yourself, your standards. So in this video, we'll talk about each one of those beliefs. Because if you can establish those 3 beliefs, if you can build them the right way, then you will become certain. You will have natural confidence that you will keep. And it becomes a part of you, not faking it till you make it, right? Or only works for the first 30 minutes after watching that motivational video and it goes away after. So let's talk about the first belief. It's the belief in the product and service. Now, what do you mean by belief in the product and service? This means you have the deepest understanding of your prospect's problems at its core. A very personal problem that your prospect faces in whatever industry you're in, and understanding how your product and service can fix that issue. Now, when I say understanding your prospect's problem, I don't mean at the surface level. because we all know the surface level problems. And that's the issue. Most of you guys just understand the surface level problems the client faces. For example, if you're in the fitness industry, yeah, if you don't work out, sure, you're not going to look good and you might have health problems. We all know that. Another example is, if you sell life insurance, yeah, if you don't have insurance, yeah, your wife will face a financial devastation or consequence, and yeah, you're not gonna have peace of mind. When I say belief in the product and service, I mean, like, do you really understand all the problems at all different dimensions and also in different time horizons that your prospect in the industry faces? Just by understanding that part, guys, and understanding that your product and service fix that issue, your confidence is just there. Like, you will just have such a strong baseline confidence naturally, because now you come from a salesperson mindset to, well, I'm actually feel like I'm helping the client out. And that's where the confidence comes from. Your confidence comes when you genuinely feel like your product and service is helping your clients. And the more it helps the client, the better you feel, the better the confidence, the better the core foundation of that certainty. So let's use an example, right, of, fitness industry. Right now, I'm not in fitness industry. Some of you guys may know this more than I do, but we're just going to go through this exercise of just naming all the problems that your prospect faces. Very personal too, right? And we're going to also stretch that to different time horizons. What I mean by that is that, well, what is the consequence your clients will face if they don't get this done, if they don't fix their problem? What's that problem looking like from day 1 to day 30 to day 60 to 2 years, 10 years, 5 years? So fitness, let's use that as an example. So obviously, if you don't work out, well, you're not going to look good. You're not going to have your desired body. Maybe you want it to be fit. Maybe you want to have big muscles. Maybe you just want to tone down a bit. Well, take it to a level deeper. Well, how does that client or the prospect feel if they didn't achieve that goal? Do they feel shame? Do they feel like they're left out because their friends are all fit? Or do they feel like a social outcast? How does that make them feel? And that feeling comes in all different shapes and forms. Some people might feel terrible because there might be that inner trauma about having that body shame when they're young. Or some people might feel terrible because they've always wanted to achieve this, but they've always, procrastinated, and they just feel like they failed at their goal, and it makes them feel terrible. And that's the level of deepness I want you guys to get into and understand when it comes to understanding your prospects' problems down to the feeling, to the core. And let's talk about time horizon. Well, let's talk about what if you have an overweight issue, if you're obese, and if you don't lose weight, well, then this could have a severe impact on, let's say, your high blood pressure. That might increase. This could have a lot of strain on your joints, right? This might produce, osteoporosis. And let's say you develop a joint issue in your knees, years down the line, this could severely impact your lifestyle. And that impact on the lifestyle could look like, well, you may not be able to walk properly and play the sport that you always enjoyed. Maybe you like golf and you can't play golf. Maybe you can't walk properly and go on a walk with your family to the park, right? And here's the thing, you're not telling us to the client. You don't need to tell us to the client, but just understand all the problems that the client faces in all different dimensions and angles and time horizon. Because now we understand that, now you can go, well, my product and service can fix that, right? Like, I can actually fix all these terrible problems. And when you understand and realize that, that's where the natural belief comes from in the product. To give you guys the accountability homework for you guys to build this belief in the product and service, here's what we're going to do. So we all know what industry we're in. Some of you guys might be in tech, finance, fitness, right? High ticket sales. And I want you to get a notepad, get a piece of paper like this, or a Word doc. Something you can write or type in. And I want you guys to write down all the problems your prospect faces at the deepest level, in a personal level, an emotional level. Write down all of it. Also, write down the problems that your prospect will face if they don't fix that issue in different time horizon. Now, you guys will know your industry more than I do, and just write all those problems down to the deepest level in all angles and dimensions and in different time horizons, just like the examples I've kind of used was the fitness. Once you've done that, then now, whatever product and service you guys are selling, see how many of those problems your product and service actually fix. And I promise you, just by doing that exercise alone, you're going to feel that natural confidence. Like, it'll just be established. And do that exercise, I say, once every month or once every quarter. Because with my guys, we do this every quarter. Because you'd be surprised how many new problems you find actually as you sell in the industry. You find new, unique situations you never thought of. You may think of something different. Ask your peers what problems that they face in terms of, the problems that their prospect faces. So many issues you guys can find out, guys, and just match it with the product and service you're selling. Match your solution to all those problems and see how much you can solve. You're going to feel much better. You're going to feel that natural confidence. You're going to build a very strong foundation in your confidence, your certainty. Now, there's one caveat to this rule when it comes to belief in the product and service. There are some people who genuinely think that their product and service doesn't help out people. Now, I don't know what industry you're in, and this could be a deep personal belief. And if you've done this exercise, guys, many, many times, and if you still feel like, I don't really think my product is great, right? Maybe you're selling a used iPhone, right? Maybe you're selling a terrible financial product. I don't know. And you've gone through this exercise and you feel like, Eric, like I've done this many times and I just still can't seem to back my product. Then, guys, at that point, I suggest you to choose a different industry or a different company. And I've actually had this chat with people many times on a personal level where they come to the company and they're like, well, Eric, I just don't believe in this product. Like I've done this, I went through the exercise many times. And this is very rare too. This is a rare instance because a lot of times when people don't believe in it, they go through this exercise, they start to believe in it. But there may be those people who are just like, I've really done everything I can. I don't believe in it. You need to leave. You need to get out of that company, that industry, or the product you're selling. And find something you feel a little more passionate. Find something that you feel like, I think I can back this product and service. I think this genuinely helps people out. There's no shame in that, guys, to changing your company or your industry, but you don't have to quit sales. Now, let's talk about belief in the process. So, what is a belief in the process? When we talk about process, this means your script from introduction to the discovery to the needs analysis to going through the features and benefits, your closing and dealing with objections and people's concerns. Now, what we find a lot of times is that especially amongst the new agents or struggling people who's been doing this for many years, they tend to have a lack of trust in their process. Like they don't fully believe that their script is getting them the sales. They think that is actually luck that's getting them the sales, or they keep constantly changing the process and script because they feel like it's not good enough. Now, there's nothing wrong continually improving your process and script. And I actually encourage people to do so for doing that. But the biggest concern I see with people is that when people are trying to improve their process and their script, it comes from a place of doubt. It comes from a place of mistrust in the process. It doesn't matter how much they improve on it because it comes from a place of, well, I don't think it's good enough. Let me keep improving on it. Or I don't think it's so good enough to keep improving on it. That's where the problem occurs, because when you have that type of belief, when you don't have a belief in your process, when you get onto your calls, you're going to sound very hesitant. You're going to sound very stuck. You're going to sound, you don't know where you're at. Another big common one is you just sound unnatural. And you sound like this because of the lack of belief in your process. You just don't trust that this process will bring you success. So you keep improving on it and, you may see some success, but because you come from a place of mistrust and you don't believe in it, when you get on the call, you're always doubting yourself. It's a big constant doubt. Now, this is a very controversial take, but this is from what I've seen. I have enough proof of this to back this up. You could have an okay script and process, but if you have trust, belief in that process that will bring you success in the long run, that person will do much better than the other person who may have a better process in the script, but they don't believe in it. So, because the difference is that this guy doesn't have the most optimal process and script, but he's confident. This other person has a great process and script, but is not confident. And end of the day, guys, people buy from confident people. That's it. Good marketing is what matters. Script process is very important. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if it's absolutely bad, then you need to improve on it. But what I'm saying is that if you want to improve on it, you have to come from a place of trust, right? And that's the accountability homework I want to give you guys, is that trust that your process, whatever you're using, will bring you success. As soon as you believe and commit to the process you're using, whatever you're using right now, that, hey, you know what? This may not be the best, but it's going to bring me success. And because I believe in it, I'm going to bring confidence to the call. And that's what's going to get me sales. That's what's going to make people want to buy from me because of my confidence and belief in the process. And I'll always continue to improve on it later on. That's what I want you guys to do. And that's the belief in the process. Just trust that your process will work over time. But you have to make that commitment. See, that's the key thing. You commit to the process that's going to work, and then you make a lifelong commitment to improve on it. Most people, I will say probably 50-50. I think this is the case. People don't trust their process, they don't believe in it. And that equals lack of certainty, that equals lack of or poor marketing. Poor marketing equals people don't want to buy from you. So that's the belief in the process. So the last belief I want to talk about is the belief in yourself. Belief in yourself, the most important factor is what is your trajectory and your goals when it comes, in your sales career, and where do you feel like your belief is when it comes to achieving that goal? And this is where a lot of people have a hard time in when it comes to, their career in sales. That's why they want to quit, is because they feel like they won't be good in the long run. They feel discouraged. And like I said, this usually happens because they can't figure out why they're good. When it comes to that goal where you like to be, if you feel like you're not going to hit that goal, if you feel like, I don't feel good at sales, then you're going to follow the path, whether you like it or not. Like, it's the subconscious path where you'll just go there on your own. And that's the danger of having a poor belief in yourselves in anything, not just in sales, but anywhere, right? Whatever job or goals you have, if you genuinely feel like I'm not going to get there, then you're going to find a way to not get there. And I see this oftentimes in when I hear people's sales call. If I hear the calls throughout the whole day, and when I see people with a poor belief in themselves, they actually find a way to not get the sale. Like, they'll find a way to butcher the sale. They'll be more lazy. They won't push themselves. They'll say stupid things. They won't follow the process. And it's funny, like they don't even realize that they're doing this. Well, how do you fix this? You need to have new standards, right? It's the standards that will actually fix your belief in yourself. You need to have the right standards. But what are standards? Well, standards are beliefs, but it's a belief that you feel that you must follow. You feel like you have to follow that belief. So everyone has standards when it comes to every day in your lifetime. You may have a standard for the type of food you eat. You may have a standard for hygiene. You may have a standard for the work ethic you have, or standard for your clothes. That's why when people have a high standard for fashion, they feel like they have to live up to that belief. If it were anything below that belief, then they feel terrible. One of my standards I have when it comes to work, and it's a new standard I established myself many years ago, was the standard of just doing your best when it comes to work. Because that, for me, works the best. And I established that standard for myself because, for my personal being, if I feel like I've done my best, there's a bit of satisfaction there. I know that also I've made progress, and I've strived to make progress. I don't care if it's by an inch or centimeter or by a meter. Every day, if I'm moving forward, that's what gets me going. Now, for a lot of people, they don't have those type of standards when it comes to sales. They all want to get good. They all want to make lots of money, but they don't have the standards when it comes to the work ethic. They don't have the standards when it comes to helping the client out. They don't have the standards when it comes to just doing your best when you get into the calls. See, when you have the right standards, and when it's input focus, not output, input focus, then you will find a way to do well when it comes to sales. So one of the standards I tell to all my guys when it comes to this is make sure you do your absolute best to help the client out on all the calls. I don't care what the call is. I don't care if the client is not qualified. I don't care if the client, right, doesn't have the financial means to pay for it. Your job and your standards to help them out as best as possible. Because when you have that type of standard, that type of input standard, you'll just find a way to do your job best you can. And that's what propels your sales career upwards. It's not you imagining it, it's focusing on the input that moves you there day by day, week by week, year by year. And that's the only way you can get a good sales, guys, is you just need to have the right input. You need to make sure that you're helping as many clients and prospects as possible. So the homework I'll give you guys is assess what your standards is right now and be brutally honest with yourself. Like, where do you stand when it comes to your standards? And divert that standards into the correct standards. And the correct standards, in my opinion, is have the right input standards. When I say input, is what are the standards I need to have when it comes to doing the things, not chasing the things. Chasing the things is money, promotion, blah, 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 right? The input standards is, well, what do I need to do to gain that success? For me, like I said, was just doing my best every time I'm working with my sales agent. Do the best I can for them to improve on that. For you as a salespeople, guys, your job, your standard should be focused on the client. Like that's your standard. Your standard should be how can I be the best solution provider? How can I be the best help for my clients and my prospect? Because when you have that standard, guys, you will work hard. Actually, you don't need motivation. You just feel like you have to do it every time you get into the call. It's automatic. And set that standard for yourself. Repeat it. And you have to be intentional when you set that standard. You have to say, well, you know what? Every day I come to work, I'm going to do my absolute best. Repeat that mantra every day because you have to almost unwire your old standards. And your old standards could be, I don't care if I'm okay. I don't care if I'm mediocre. A lot of your standards are, I'm just want to be comfortable, right? That's a lot of people's standards for you. Change that standard when it comes to, well, that might have been my old standards, but now I wanted to just do my absolute best when it comes to helping out the client and my prospects, no matter what happens. And the outcome of that is, yes, you will make a lot of money. Yes, you will have a great sales career. Yes, you will have better conversations when you do that. Yes, you will work harder and your work ethic will be better. Not that we went through the 3 belief systems. We went through product and service, the belief in the process and yourself. We went through the accountability and homework. I want you guys now after this video, to test them out actually. Like I said, you bring out the paper, write down all the problems that your prospects could face at all different levels, the deepest level, the personal level, different time horizon, and see how much your product and service can fix those issues. With belief in your process, make sure that you establish that trust that your process, no matter how good or bad it is, will bring you success in the long run, and understanding that we'll always improve on that, but from a place of trust, not from a place of doubt. And last, belief in yourself. Make sure you establish the right input standards, right? To doing your best, let's say, for the client, or doing your best in your job. And that success will come from the input, the correct input, not focusing on the output. There may be a lot of old beliefs that you guys have to unwire. And, this could have been built for many years in your sales career. So what you want to do is, at least for the first month, right? I want you guys to go through this exercise every week, at least once per week, so that you get the feel of it. You can do a lot more than that if you want to. If you feel like, your belief in the process was so weak, you probably have to remind yourself every day during the whole day, right? Maybe it's a belief in yourself. Maybe your standards are so poor that you have to constantly remind yourself on an intraday, throughout every hour, maybe, or every 30 minutes. But do what you got to do to change your beliefs. This is the most important foundation you need in order to have a long, sustaining, successful career. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a follow, and I much appreciate that. And I will do my absolute best to make videos like this to help you and serve you to improve your sales game and for the community. Now, if you guys are thinking, really seriously considering about taking your sales games to the next level, but don't know where to start because you probably tried a lot of different things, hasn't worked out yet, maybe you're feeling quite stuck or very overwhelmed, I do offer a free consultation call. It's a one-on-one basis. You can book your meeting using the link below. And we can just have just a general chat to help you understand, where you're exactly stuck, pinpoint those problems, and provide a free analysis for you. Now, if you want to fix that issue and unlock that potential that you've always wanted, I do offer a one-on-one coaching service if that interests you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, keep on improving, guys. Learn the right things and keep on practicing. Thank you.